military, we don't accept things sitting down.
Excuses.
I'm Mark Kemp with the Hannibal Cops chapter of Tuskegee Airman, and this is Dr. Larry Nunley from the city of Baltimore. We have a couple of presentations we'd like to make, and I'll let Dr. Nunley.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for being everything I always wanted to be. You know, I should look as handsome as this young man. When I get to be his age, I said to him, I celebrate everybody else's birthday, but usually they were 40. And when they say they're 57, I don't celebrate the year 57, I celebrate that they're 57 years old, because I remember how good a time that was. And to know that all the things you've done were all for all of us, even the ones that will never know you. The doors you've opened, the things you've done, the dreams that you've seen, and now to be here. It's truly an honor. So I wanted to thank you from the President of the City Council, Stephanie Rollins Blake, who I'm fortunate enough to work for, a woman at that, guys. All right? A young woman, too. So, the City Council of Baltimore, resolution. Be it hereby known to all that the City Council of Baltimore offers its sincerest congratulations to Reverend Dr. Milton L. Holmes in recognition of your 83rd birthday and your proud trailblazing service to this nation as a Tuskegee Airman. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution to be presented this 21st day of February 2009. President Stephanie Rollins Blake. The resolution is number 1727. Council President Rollins Blake, and by all of its members. Thank you.
Can everybody hear me? Very good. All right. My presentation is a little bit more mellow because I want to take you all back in history a little bit first and let you guys really know and understand the significance of Dr. Holmes' accomplishments. All right. In 1925, the War Department had a debate that said that blacks weren't qualified to serve in the military, even though we fought in every conflict in our history. In the history of this country, we have participated in every conflict. So what the War Department decided was in 1925 that they would conduct a study to see whether or not African Americans had the capacity to serve in the military, to do something other than shoot a gun. It took them 10 years to complete that study. In 1935, the results of that study were that blacks' brains were 25% smaller than their white counterparts, and that they lacked the capacity to handle complex machinery and operate complex equipment, which meant that even though they were flying crop dusters, they couldn't fly military aircraft because of the complicated maneuvers that they would have to perform. Well, in 1939, all of that started to change, because that's when the War Department decided to open up a base at Tuskegee, Alabama, on Milton Field, where they started training black pilots. Well, that first group only graduated 5 people. 3 people. 5 people in the class, 3 people graduated. But those 3 pilots, even though they had already passed pilot school, were not allowed to fly. They had to take the class again. So they took the class again with the second class. Second class graduated 5 people. So now you have a total of 8 black pilots that are qualified to fly, but told that they weren't qualified to fly. So they weren't allowed to fly. So they had to take the class again. So finally they get enough black pilots that can fly, and they send them over to Rubentelli Air Base in Italy. But they tell them, you're not qualified to fly. So they put them in an area, give them inadequate aircraft, and ground support crew that they thought was inadequate, and other support personnel. It's inadequate. You guys can't do it. But finally, when they got a chance to prove themselves, they proved themselves with a record that is unmatched by any military unit, not only in the United States history, but in the history of the world. Those guys escorted over 209 missions, never once losing a bomber that was escorted by the Tuskegee Airman. That's the record and the reputation. Now, when you look at the Tuskegee Airmen, a lot of people give all of the praise and glory to the pilots. There were only 994 pilots, but to every pilot, there were approximately 36 other personnel who put that pilot in the sky. Any pilot will tell you that I don't put that plane in the air. I drive it, but it's the ground man that puts me up there. It's the ground man that makes it possible for me to come home. So we've got nurses. A lot of people don't realize we do have female Tuskegee Airwomen. We do have them, and we have some that are still alive today. We do have Tuskegee Airmen who were other than pilots. In fact, the person responsible for the military becoming desegregated was an African-American male enlisted person. A three-star general sat on his bunk in his dorm room one night and asked him what his ideas were, and he told him. And the memo that he drafted eventually became the executive order that the president signed desegregating the military. And I want to share one story with you all from the stories that I've got from the airmen, and then I'm going to do something that is 60 years overdue. All right, when I was in Omaha, Nebraska, about 5 years ago, we're sitting in a room, a little bit bigger than this, packed to capacity, and we're having a meeting. Midway towards the back of the room, there's one white guy sitting back there. We're trying to, sir, would you like to say something? Sir, would you like to say something? He wouldn't say anything. And then finally, midway through the meeting, he gets himself together. He decides that he does want to speak. So we invite him up to the podium and we allow him to speak. And the story he told us touched everybody in that room, and it touches me every day. And he said, I was flying my plane over Italy, and it was crippled. I had just completed my mission. I had no escorts, no weapons, nothing. I look over the horizon, I see 6 German planes coming at me. So I closed my eyes and I made my peace. And I said, Father, I'm ready to come home. And he says, as I said that, this voice came over. Are you ready to go home? And he opened up his eyes, he's like, what the dickens is going on? He thought God spoke to him. And just at that time, 4 red tails went past him, another red tail pulled up alongside him. And he said, are you ready to go home? Those red tails shot down the 6 planes, brought him home, and it took him 60 years to be in a position to say thank you. Thank you to the same people that he would spit on and close the door to. But thank you for making it possible for me to come home, for me to say I have children and grandchildren. George Bush, if he didn't do anything else right in his entire presidency, he did one thing right. He signed into law an enactment that Congress bestowed upon the Tuskegee Airman, which is the Congressional Gold Medal. That is the highest honor that Congress can bestow upon any citizen. And that award was given to the Tuskegee Airmen. And what I'd like to do, since we're in the city of Baltimore, is ask Dr. Nunn. Men like this, who made it possible for me to serve 24 years, who made it possible for me to go to Iraq, Sergeant Wade. Amen.
I have her skirt on, so it's here.
Well deserved, everyone. No. She keeps looking up there.
Amen.